Hello, and welcome to the Women's Wisdom Circle. We have Harriet in Finland and Vivian in California right now, which are in the live with me in the green room. And just for whoever might be watching at a later time and has not joined us, let me just kind of give a short synopsis of what we're doing here. So this is a group of ladies that have chosen to come together to explore what is possible when we connect, not from the head, but connect to the heart space. In other words, connect to what is emerging when we come together and when we are genuinely listening to what wants to emerge, our needs, our needs from the heart. Okay, what has not really been taken care of when we are lost in the programs of the mind. And we have taken together a challenge, a 30-day challenge towards radical self-care. And this is our third week of coming together in and kind of reporting on what has emerged for each of us during that challenge, what healing has taken place, and what new ways of being can emerge. Since we started this by feeling a deep disconnection from what was happening in the world, and a powerlessness in being able to change something individually. So coming together, we're looking for different ways of being that might alter something in our environment, starting with our environment, rather than wanting to always take care of everybody else. So we are focusing on our self-care and seeing how this will have ripple effects in our immediate environment, immediate world. So basically, that's what we have been exploring here. And right now, perhaps I will do a short little connection exercise so that we can sink into that space of heart connection and then see what has been emerging for each of us during the week. So just let's together take a few deep breaths to become present to the now. Deep in breath, followed by a full out breath. Releasing the day or the night, depending on where you are at. Another deep breath in, full breath out. One last deep breath in, full out breath. And this time allowing our body to connect physically to our feet to the earth. Really using our physical form to connect to what we are made up of. We are all made up of that earth. The same molecules that live in the earth live in our body. So creating that conscious connection and imagining a pair of virtual roots, imaginary roots, connecting us to the heart of the earth. And as we keep breathing normally, just allowing that energy from the earth to circulate, to move into our body, to fill our legs, our torso, belly buttocks, back, shoulders, arms and hands, and our head. Using that grounding energy of the earth to get centered, get present, to connect to ourselves and what wants to emerge. And taking another deep breath in, and this time allowing our connection to the other point of connection, which is our cosmic energies, the field of life all around us. Our body is part of the earth, and the earth is part of a much larger system, the planetary system, the universe. So just allow that connection to anchor in your imagination. And perhaps imagine a ray of light. It could be light from the sun or the moon, depending on where you're at, or a star, to shine down onto the top of your head. And allow that connection from the universe to connect to your body. Imagining that light moving down through your body, through a central column of light, somewhere between your spine and your heart, connecting deep to the center of the earth and allowing that connection to the larger field of life to anchor the awareness that we are never alone and isolated. There is always support and help available. And just allowing that connection to get anchored into your awareness and your consciousness. And from that space of connection, taking a moment to connect virtually to the circle we are creating right now amongst us, the ones present right now on the call and the ones who will be listening later on, since a few could not make the call live right now, but will be listening later. So let's kind of join a virtual circle of hand holding, really connecting to the wisdom that is emerging amongst us, guiding us, supporting our individual healing, each at our own pace, to reconnect fully to that larger dimension, that higher guidance, that self that we so long have neglected because we were lost in outdated mind programs for a good part of our life. Just allowing that thought to take a hold of your heart. And taking a moment now, check back on the last week, since this is, in a way, our check-in for the week on the challenge. What has been emerging for you by focusing on radical self-care? Another deep breath in. And this time when you exhale, come back. Where are you sitting in your physical location? Taking another deep breath in and gradually coming back. your connection to your physical body, sitting wherever you are. One other deep breath, coming back at your own pace to normal consciousness, and whenever you're ready, come back into the room. Move a little bit around your hands, wiggle your head if you need to. And let's see what transpired for us this week. This has been a very transformational week for me personally. I have healed, I have connected with a part of myself that I've been running away from for the longest of time. That has created a pattern of self-abandonment. Whenever I would take on a project, I would procrastinate, I would not do it, I would buy other programs because, somebody else knows better than me, and this is a pattern that I'm sure I'm not the only one who has done that. And this week was, I really faced that deep pain. And I had a dialogue with that part of me. This is a part of my personality, and this is the infant in me, the baby actually, just born, that had a very difficult birth experience. And I've processed this at so many levels throughout my life. This is certainly not the first time I'm processing this, But this time I felt a radical shift, and not just in my head that something had, I had understood something better, I had learned a new technique. This time there was really a change, and it's like I'm now moving forward with some things that I did not allow myself to move forward because I did not give voice to that part. Didn't allow. So there was always a disconnect in my being that I didn't feel I have a right to express my voice because of that disconnect, And yesterday I had another of those experiences where I had to make a call to a management company that looks after some properties I have in Montreal, and I felt this. I felt very bad, before calling, and I always feel very bad before calling. So I stopped. I said, I'm not going to call. I'm going to look. What is this emotion? And what I realized that emotion is a judgment I had that whatever they're doing, I would do better and I would do differently. So it's like I always think I can do things better than anybody else, and that keeps me also disconnected, and that prevents me from allowing help, really, to perform at their own capacity in their own way. So when I saw that was again a very emotional, really direct realization, and how judgments keeps you separate and creates that pain. So, I had those two monumental kind of experiences this week, which radically altered many things I knew with my head for the longest of time. I processed it at so many different levels, but this time it was like a definite shift. And anyway, so this is just what I wanted to say. That was for me, and I want to welcome whatever you want to bring to the circle in terms of sharing what transpired with you. I know you had some breakthroughs also, Hayat, and I don't know about Viviane because I haven't seen you sharing on the Facebook page, so I'm not quite sure what has been happening for you. So whoever wants to start talking, please go ahead.
Yeah, I can continue. I can really relate to what you're saying, Aline, because those have been my issues also with the abandoned baby. And and me abandoning myself and my power and my knowledge and everything with this very, very deep underlying self-sabotaging pattern. And I got in contact with it again because last week when you asked what is your focus for the upcoming week, I just realized when tuning into our call, I was saying that I will be in my feminine power, so the leadership, the feminine leadership, and actually I have lived that out this week because I got on Monday evening a guest, a man, and I can see the difference in how I am behaving towards him. This old pleasing way is totally gone, and I'm taking care of my needs, although I have the guest there, and my old me would feel that I have to take care of him, and with food and program and everything, and we should start work very soon. But now I teach him to get rid of this urge of starting to work from the head. And yesterday we explored the process of being present just to life. What is it to be present to pure life? How does pure life express itself in us without any need to try to control or understand it? So, and we just met physically the first time on Monday evening. So this is for me like a immense change in how I relate to men, how my inner masculine and feminine now have joined in this sacred union. And really today I'm enjoying myself. I'm going to a wedding today, and I just take my time here. I'm alone and at home at the moment, and I realize my happiness is not related to any other person. My happiness is inside me, and all the self-love I can now receive. When I radiate that, that's enough. I don't have to think about, worry about anything anymore, as long as I radiate that self-love. So this radical self-care, and I noticed in the week that some patterns had to come up because, I'm very blonde, so I cannot take sun. Suddenly the summer was in Finland also this week. So we got lost in our conversation with this man. And suddenly I had burned myself totally because I usually have to protect myself. And I was like, why didn't you take care of yourself? How did you do that? But I didn't blame myself. And I used to be very like, I must be very ugly because I'm red in the face. I don't get brown. I don't get a tan. I have to be very careful in the sun. I'm from up north. But I love just that red-faced woman too. And I was like, ooh. Yeah.
Loving what is, yes.
And accepting that, okay, I was not that caring to myself, so I had to suffer a little bit, and my skin had to suffer a little bit, and I was feeling like, oh, but yeah.
Honoring the feedback mechanism, right?
Yes, honoring the feedback mechanism. Thank you, I got it. Don't forget, don't sit in the sun. You are almost 50 years. You should have learned that already.
So inspired.
So it was me, that rebellious child. I don't want to be this blonde, and I want to be in the sun, but no, you can't, little one. Take care of yourself. You have to be careful.
Yes. Thank you, Harriet.
Harriet, do you remember Ingrid Bergman?
Oh yes, oh yes.
You sound just like her to me. She was so charming, and her way of expressing herself. I was a big Ingrid Bergman fan, and you sound just like her to me. So I'm just loving that about you.
Maybe that true essence of me is, it's coming out now.
That's wonderful.
Well, that's the best. I mean, that icon is for me. She's an icon, So,
Oh, okay, so.
this is a lot to receive now, Viviane.
from your end of the world too. You know, she.
I have to practice to receive that.
Okay, and Viviane, where are you at? Tell us.
Well, it's been an interesting week for me too. I've been working at allowing my vulnerability out, and that's something I have really been very careful to hold back from others, because you know when you're vulnerable, you can get hurt. And that's always been my thing that I have to be careful because I, you know, I lived in a very violent country where I was born, and I had to, which was not my country, and I had to protect myself, and I had many near-death experiences as a child, and having been assaulted, and there's so many things that are that I'm writing in my memoir right now. So this past week, I've been doing internal work to release this part of me that hasn't been shown, and so I decided to text someone who had been a friend of mine and who I thought was a friend of mine, and I was very vulnerable with her on the text, in the text, and I told her how I felt the last time she and I communicated together, and that I felt hurt and abandoned and rejected. And I never say these things to people. I never tell people that, you know. So it was a very big move on my part. And I wrote her a very detailed text because I knew she wouldn't take my phone call. And she has been moving, she and her husband have been moving east from California to the East Coast. And by now she had reached the other coast. So I waited to text her when I thought she might be a little settled down. And instead, what I received from her was a complete rejection. And I wasn't devastated by it. Usually I would have been devastated. But instead, basically she told me that to contact people here instead of her. You know, so that was basically telling me she wanted nothing to do with me anymore. And I think that what happened was she misunderstood my text. Instead of looking at it from a vulnerable part of me that I was expressing, she saw it somehow as a criticism of her, which there was no criticism of her in it at all. But I could see how she could have twisted it, you know. And I thought about trying to explain it, trying to explain myself, and trying to tell her, look, there's a misunderstanding here. And then I thought, no, you know, if she doesn't see the love that came through the text from me, then she's never going to see it. And she didn't see that I was trying to maintain our friendship instead of discarding it. So I just let it go. And what I realized from that, it was something that I usually take things personally and feel rejected again and abandoned even more. But this time I looked I read it very carefully. What she wrote me back was very short and very to the point, and that's it. And I thought, you know, this is her thing. This is her coming through in the text as to where she's at. Now, it's not up to me to judge her. It's just where she's at right now. She may change in a couple of days. She may change her mind. She may see something that she didn't see in my text if she rereads it, if she didn't discard it. And I thought, it's not up to me to make this happen. You know, I just left it up to my higher power, my higher purpose. And I just thought, you know, I don't have to be hurt by it. And that was huge for me. That was huge. And on the other side is still, I'm still grieving about my loss of that partner I had. And that's still there, the grief and the pain and the sorrow. And I'm dealing with it on a daily basis and not making myself wrong for feeling the grief and just allowing myself to feel my feelings one step at a time, dealing with those feelings and then moving on and doing whatever I need to do. So it's been a very interesting week, and also I had one of my patients was very, very difficult to work with, a new patient, and normally I would think, what did I do wrong? You know, what was my part in it, and what happened to make him not want to continue with the treatment? And then I realized again, it's not my problem, you know. It's his stuff that he's bringing out, and his wife wanted him to do the work with me, and so he was trying to please her, and he really wasn't in it with both feet, you know. So I realized it's not up to me to force him or to change his mind, and I told him, and I said it with a lot of compassion and understanding. And I told him I was there for him. If he didn't want to go ahead, that's fine, you know. And I let it go. And that's how it's been all week. So I'm pretty proud of myself for having done that. At the same time, I don't want to, you know, have my head blow up, you know, like this is great. So it's just one step at a time. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to get onto the Facebook page, your Facebook page. So please send me a link to that so that I know how to get there and put in comments, because I'm very bad at Facebook. You know, I keep getting, you have 7 notices, you have 11 notices, and I don't even know how to manage it all. So.
I have 7. I think I have, I don't know how many. It's like I'm not even going there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you don't have followers like you have, Aline. You have so many followers. I don't have any followers, I don't think.
I don't know how many followers I have, you know, because I'm not an expert on those things either. You know, I'm just also.
You have 600 and something followers.
Oh, you know that? So you that I don't even know.
I don't know how I got that, and I'm not sure how to. You know, I don't know what I'm doing on Facebook. I just don't know.
More than me.
Well, I joined you. I joined your group, so I must be on it somewhere.
So if you go on the home, what is it called? On the left-hand side, you have all the groups that you have joined, and from there you look for the 30-day challenge to radical self-care, or whatever it's called. It has a little.
Okay, then I have been on that one. I thought it was Wise Women's Circle.
No, that's something that I'm having on Google Plus. Okay.
Okay.
Plus,
so I think that one. Okay.
Yes, you've been in there once. You have commented once on Hayat's poll. You know, I've seen you. You
Okay.
know? Yeah. Yeah. What I'm hearing is you have finally taken care of yourself rather than other people only. Yeah. Last week you were totally there. You know, like, how can I help you? And this week, take care of your need, which is to connect with that woman and write her from your need. And yes, you know, when there is no response from another person, we cannot force them. Then we have to let it go and drop it.
Right.
Knowing that you have done whatever you could do for your need, taking care of your need. But you cannot force another person to respond to your need. The only thing you can do is take care of your need, and you did. And when you do, then you're in a different energy. You're in a totally different energy than being constantly in the waiting to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be taken care of, to be whatever. You know, I mean, the list is endless of the kind of stuff that we do to ourselves. So by taking the lead and taking care of yourself, you have healed something.
Well, on the contrary, I don't feel that I can be taken care of. In fact, I thought about it very deeply, and I thought that I am too much for anyone. No one can handle me. And that's my belief system, that I'm overwhelming to too many people. People feel threatened about me, which is true, because that's what they show me, you know. So I don't want to threaten people. I just want to be equal with other people. But if they feel threatened, it's not up to me to get them to feel unthreatened. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just let it go. So and it's very easy around here, especially in this area, for people to feel threatened. You know, they look at all my degrees and they look at this and that, and that means nothing if there isn't love. You know, to me, love and compassion are the two most important emotions, really. And so, you know, if I don't receive it from others, I'm moving on. Even if I'm moving on by myself, I'm moving on, you know. And I figure, you know, the way I look at it is I'm in better company by myself than being with people who are criticizing me and complaining and being negative. I don't need that.
Absolutely. And when you step into that different energy, then you cannot understand, because so many people are still in the mindset that we are here for somebody else, and we have to take care of people, and people, you know, and feeling guilty if they don't, you know, all that lower mind control kind of programming. I mean, it's part of everybody. Everybody has that program, because that is just the way we are conditioned. Cultural conditioning, education, family conditioning, it's just part of the of the basic ego programs that are running in the human race. Okay, it's just, they cannot avoid it. But when you identify the pain that comes with those things, then, and you start to take care of yourself by bringing back, you know, like balance within yourself, homeostasis back into your being, then everything changes. Then you don't need all those people.
Right.
Not that you don't want people.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. But it's not out of a need, out of a desperate codependent need where you cannot be without. You know, like an addiction. Sometimes relationships are addictive because we trigger each other, and relationships also are the highway to healing. Because that's where you realize all those parts of yourself which are out of balance and which are still needy rather than whole.
Well, I found that I realized that I get scared of people, you know, and that's that most of my life I've been scared. And so I put on this veneer of being, you know, removed and in charge of my life and all that. And people tell me I seem very calm and collected and in charge of my life. And that's the veneer I put on so that I don't show my vulnerability. You know, because it's been my experience that every time I have shown my vulnerability, people have put the sword into me, you know. Right when I let my guard down, wham! It's, you know what I mean? So that's been my experience locally here, and especially since I've been in California, and I've never experienced it in other places before. So And also, the kind of people in this valley is very different from anywhere else. They're kind of isolated because we're in the high desert, away from the rest of the world, and they feel as though they're entitled to doing anything they want because there is nothing to check them, or check up on them. And I noticed that with neighbors doing all kinds of things that are illegal, and it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, and what comes up for me, because I can definitely relate to what you're talking about, that veneer. I call it the persona. I mean, we all have a persona. Okay, that's the face we show to the world, which is not our real, authentic self, which is that part that is guarded, that will only show because that part is really also very scared, and you said it, you're scared of people, scared of being judged, scared of being seen for who you are, and which is none of that. And this is not the truth. This is not the truth. This is just a lie that we have. This is part of the game that we came to play on this plane,
And showing our vulnerability, I think, when I cry in front of someone, I'm honoring them by saying, I trust you enough to cry in front of you, basically. And not everybody takes to that, Some people feel very threatened by my showing my emotions, and expressing that. And I've done that most of my life. I have shown my vulnerability when I needed to, and realized it wasn't a good thing. So I had withdrawn into myself, and I don't want to go back to isolating myself and living without any friends or social life of any kind. So and even doing this is threatening because I don't know who's going to be listening or watching this. And by the way, I connected with Bridget also during the week, and we had a wonderful conversation on Skype. For me, it was Sunday. For her, it was Monday. And we had a wonderful conversation, and I thought, well, there are other friends I can have even around the globe. They don't have to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So it's all been good.
Yeah. Taking care of your needs changes the energy. And that's what you've done. It's empowering. Yeah. Rather than waiting that the people in your valley, wherever you are, your neighbors change, because they won't. The only thing you can do is you change. You removing that persona a little bit, because it's a mask we have. I've had this mask for the longest of time myself. And at one point it was suffocating, really literally suffocating. I just couldn't breathe anymore, pretending to be who I'm not.
Yeah. And for me, that mask almost, took my life, 9 years ago. I got so sick that I got this insight that now you have to choose another way or you die. So that gave me the urge to embark on this path, and being totally amazed by how wrongly we are, programmed, our perceptions about ourselves and reality. And those, I have faced those attacks too recently, actually, Viviane. So I really recognize that when you are in this state of, taking away those masks and being truly who you are, this is really threatening to many people. Okay. So one way for them is to attack it, because we wake up their vulnerability. We touch something in them, but they have closed down, and it can be very, very deeply closed down. Like for my one client, to show how the heart was, it was kind of a locker with 4 locks. The heart is so locked in that we need 4 keys. And we have no clue of what those keys are. And I mean, it's just like amazing every time to see how people have really closed down their hearts.
Yes, yes. And they tell themselves stories that they believe about themselves,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
are not really what's going on, you know. So they
No,
drink.
it's just the mind creating all kinds of weird stuff which has nothing to do with the reality.
Yes, so they self-medicate with alcohol or drugs,
Yeah,
and they think that's the reality.
yeah,
That's
yeah. All the energy goes to keep this, the heart and the vulnerability,
yeah,
in order, in place. Think
right.
about the energy amount we are, uh, using for that. I have used so much of my energy for this, to keep all the pain and the grief and all the difficult feelings down until I could not do it deliberately anymore. It would have killed me.
Yeah.
So
Creating all this blood pressure, Hayat,
yeah,
right?
you're creating all this blood pressure. Yes. Yeah.
That's often the case. All our physical symptoms come from an imbalance in our authentic being, in our needs, not learning how to take care of our needs. Then we are compensating. And sometimes when you are on the journey, you need help. You know, to
Yeah.
Yes, you need the medication, for a while, but it was leaving my blood pressure medication was really now also a thing that I did unconsciously, and as I wrote there, I asked myself, is this now, am I sabotaging my well-being now? Am I threatening my health at the moment? But it was the right time now. I tried it last year also, but then it was too much for me because I had not faced all this existential loneliness and these feelings of my father being, when his mother died when he was a baby, being abandoned so early. So I had his feelings in me. I have carried him my whole life,
Mm.
and not allowing, I cannot be happier than he was, because I mean he was obviously a very big victim. uh, so I mean these are all amazing things, how we are intertwined with this, with our previous generations, and actually the death of my parents enables me to be free. I'm not sure I wouldn't be here if they still were alive, because I could not have freed myself.
Mm. Did their death happen recently?
2012. Yeah.
Oh yeah, very recently.
Yeah, I lost both of them in a short period of time, very unexpectedly.
Wow. I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, it was a very big loss, and it almost, again, I thought, how can I ever, manage this situation? But
Yes.
actually, I have been writing some letters to my, audience actually for quite a while, and these letters were written by love. So I had written a letter called "Everything will be okay." So
Mm.
actually, I had written to my subconscious that you will make it without knowing what is coming.
Wow.
I realize it now afterwards,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
has been very
That's
tough.
really interesting because after I lost my best friend, I wrote a poem about that loss. And I don't know if we have time or if it's even appropriate, but I can read the poem because it's touched a lot of people uh, who have had losses in their life recently, and I think it embodies what we feel when we lose someone who is like a part of us. You know, um, is that something I should do, Eileen? Should I read it?
If you feel called to do it, why don't you do it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm trying to find it here.
This is about emerging and exploring co-creation. So there is no
It's
right or
called.
wrong
It's
point.
entitled. It's entitled One. One.
Mhm.
We were one person, you and I. Now that you're on the other side, I feel as though half of me is missing. I can be of more use to you now than ever before, you say. I hear you, but I can't see you. I can feel you touching at times like a bird's wings or a butterfly gently whirring on the back of my hand or in my hair, but it's not the same. Nothing is the same anymore. I'll never see your eyes light up again like they did just before you took your last breath. I'll never hear what you called your daily revelations, your profound insights that used to stir my imagination and inspired me to enter the healing profession and write my first book. Your playful wit, followed by your resounding laughter, your silent attendance at all my poetry readings and musical performances, the expressive letters accompanied by meaningful gifts, always carefully thought out testimonials to your affection for me, reminders all over my home that even they will never lift me out of this grief and pain. I see you everywhere, in that precious tree you gave me, in the silence of nightfall, when your familiar tune would pull me out of this solitary confinement. Just hearing your voice would fill this empty dawn and pull me out of this inconsolable ache. Where do I go now?
Wow. Beautiful.
Beautiful, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it, Vivian.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening.
Mm.
And I just wanted to share, Vivian, I really enjoy to see how the shift in you also shines through your whole being now. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Harriet. This is so powerful, this connection.
Yes, it is.
It is, yes.
You know, it's interesting because language is so important. And I write in English, and yet when you and I talk, Eileen, we speak in French, which is my first language as yours. And I always feel like there's a closeness that can come about from speaking French that doesn't exist in English. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's interesting what comes up for me when you talk about language, because all my healing I had to do in English,
Ah,
because my wounding was from my French culture.
right. Me too. Me too.
You know, so my healing took care on other continents, really. You know, Canada,
Yes.
Saudi Arabia. You know, France
Yes.
triggers back, but last time I was there, I I healed something about that disconnect. I opened up the space of deeper healing, which I've pursued here now, and feels I've come to a conclusion and a resolution of those issues. But when you speak about the language is very often tied to those wounds,
Yeah.
or to powerful memories of childhood, you know, that bring back good memories, nice memories.
Yeah.
For me, it is tied with judgments, you know, which has been the cross that I buried all my life. Self
Mm.
fear of judgments from others.
Mm.
Whenever I am in France and I listen to the news, or you know, I mean, the programs where they it's just like they massacre each other through judgment.
Yes. Yes.
On openly, this is part of the culture, you know. One
Yes.
up. or one-upmanship in terms of judgments. Who can have the last word on judgments? It's like it's so painful for me to watch because I know there is another way. That the French are very disconnected from their bodies and from their beings. They live in their heads.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also in Canada, I noticed when I was living in Canada, I didn't like the sarcasm that came across. Most of the friends I had and knew in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, they used sarcasm as a way of communicating with each other and with me. And sarcasm is a defense mechanism, It's a protective mechanism that they hide behind. So you never really saw the real person, And,
persona.
Yes, and around here they hide behind phoniness, It's like as long as they have that veneer of phoniness, everything's okay. But it's not real. It's not genuine. It's not true compassion or true heart work.
Well, the sarcasm is also found here in Finland.
Oh, really?
And yes, and maybe not that strong judgment. Related to certain issues. That was interesting to listen about the French culture, Aline, what you said, that it's so judgmental and.
Yeah.
But here we are so afraid of this real connection, the dialogue, sharing. But there is a lot of openness coming up here and a lot of healing because we are dealing with our war trauma in Finland and what it had done to us as a culture with this violence we have and the suicides and depression and all this. And alcoholism. People need alcohol to open up and be themselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why I can't relate to that because I don't drink and it's not important to me to go to a social occasion where there's alcohol, It doesn't mean anything to me. So I can't relate to that. And so I'd rather stay home and watch a good movie or read a good book,
Be with yourself, right?
With myself and my little doggy and my kitty cat. They're my kids. And they give me unconditional love.
Yes, I think I'm going to end the broadcast and we can stay in the room for another few minutes if you want. And I'm sure that the timing was misunderstood by Fiona. She must have thought it's 9 o'clock her time zone, because it would have been 7 o'clock her time zone, so she will probably realize later that she's... So...
Yeah.
Sorry?
Where is Fiona? What city does she live in?
She is somewhere in England, in Wales.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's right. I forgot about that.
It would have been 7 o'clock in the morning for her, so I'm sure she understood. So we'll see. Maybe next week we'll do it at a different time that will be more convenient for some of the other people. Maybe
This was for me because it's 11 o'clock at night here.
I know.
It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was hard, to stay up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trying to accommodate, and yeah, it's. I thought that Elizabeth would show up because I had scheduled it 9 o'clock because you had Fiona and Elizabeth who said they would be here. Otherwise, I would certainly not have done it as early as 9 o'clock because it would also be more convenient for me a little bit later. But never mind, it worked for you, so everything is all right the way it turns out. We had a little triangle here, and that's quite cozy. Okay, so just you can stay in the room if you want. I'm just going to stop the broadcasting, and so whoever is going to be watching, you can leave comments in the on the event page. I should start to encourage people to do this, you know.
Events
And
page
the event page, yes,
is on
on
Facebook.
on Google Plus. That's on Google Plus because
Oh,
this is the Google Plus thing, the Hangouts. You know, this got nothing to do with Facebook. Yeah. All right, so I'll see you next week for our last week of the challenge. And perhaps just before we conclude, what would you like to focus on in the next week? Do you have any focus? I haven't thought about that yet. It's kind of early in the morning. I haven't done all my meditation yet, so I will do that a little bit later on.
Yeah, that I was just listening to that too. Also emerging what I think this is such a big step now. So I will probably continue in practicing my feminine leadership.
Yes, but that's a good one.
yeah,
That's a good one. Yes, because this is what we need right now.
yeah,
Daring to have our feminine leadership speak,
Yeah, yeah,
because there's not enough of that in the world, and the world is out of balance because it has too much masculinity, too much
and,
mind.
and let us all send healing light to the entire world, and especially in the United States, where there's so much violence going on. There was another shooting today in a movie theater. This is the third movie theater.
Oh
Uh,
no!
it's very, very scary now to go to the movies. You know,
Oh my
uh,
God!
it's ridiculous, ridiculous.
Wow.
So
People are so lost, you know. People are so lost everywhere and disconnected. That
yes,
is happening.
yes,
The feeling of total helplessness that you have to 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 attract attention by killing, you know. I mean, it's so sad where we are at, you know. And this is not only in the United States, you know. Just look at all those wars and all the, the mindsets that are creating it, you know. It's the task is monumental.
yes,
The task is monumental. It's not. It's not simply going to be resolved. You know, we really all need to step up.
right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for both of you to having been there in the hangout room, because alone I would not have conversed with myself for sure. I appreciate, I appreciate the exchange and the sharing, and I will see you next week.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we take the toast. We take the toast, Aline.
Host, yes, I said yes. I didn't bring. You know, it's okay.
It's
Good
cold.
work. Good work.
High five. Okay.